Hey everyone, Adam Blue here with Blue Gamer, and these are the top 5 games that I enjoyed the most in 2025, and they are in order. So number 1 is my favorite. Curious what you think of this list. And again, these are like personal favorites. They don't have to do with what I think is best for the industry, but maybe they could be. Okay, number 5. The number 5 game is Gradius Origins from Konami. I was so pumped. It contains most of the Gradius games up until like the PS2 era with the Gradius 4 and then 5 and from there, which I think is really, maybe some arcade versions. But anyway, from the collection it has, it reminds me of what I got from the Gradius Advanced Collection, a lot of the older games. They even have Salamander 3, which is a completely new game. So this is something I like that Konami does every once in a while. They did it with the Rebirth games on the Wii. They had Gradius, Rebirth, Castlevania, Contra. Salamander is like a whole new entry. In fact, Konami did this last year with the Dominus collection. They added the Haunted Castle remake, completely redone. So it's really cool that Konami keeps up with kind of doing these older style games along with bringing the older games to a newer generation. So this is where I think this is good for the industry, but I also like the series. I like shmups. Okay, number 4 is Donkey Kong Bonanza, and this one was number 1 when I beat it. Donkey Kong Bonanza, I put in 29 hours and 46 minutes. This was the one I was most anticipated for when getting a Switch 2. I thought it was Mario Kart World, and when I played Mario Kart World, I realized it wasn't everything I wanted it to be. That's another topic actually for another time. But Donkey Kong Bonanza just took what Nintendo does best with 3D platformers and just went all out, went crazy nuts in a way that reminds me of Sonic Racing, and I'll get to that. But there's just so much going on in the world. It's almost like there's a blend of genres, and Nintendo is doing this too when it comes to like open world stuff. Because what's a 3D platformer? It's like a space you're moving around in. But then these open world games, the idea is, I can go wherever I want in this world and do things. And pretty much you can blend those together and create what that is. And I wonder if that's like the future, what like AI, human fusion, but it's like for video game genres, they all become an open world thing. I don't know. But if you like Mario 3D platformers, I think Nintendo is showing that they are still top of their game when it comes to, revolutionizing 3D platformers. I would say check out Donkey Kong Bonanza, but that's my number 4. All right, number 3. I just brought it up briefly in this previous one. Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Do I like it better than Donkey Kong Bonanza? Wow. It wasn't at first, but slowly it just became that. I think it's the co-op, just multiplayer is fun. At the end of the day, there's multiplayer in Donkey Kong Bonanza, but it's very light. In Sonic Racing, you're doing full-on multiplayer. Everyone can play the same game, because in Donkey Kong Bonanza, you get Wiimote style controls, if you remember from Galaxy and Odyssey. But anyway, Sonic Racing Crossworlds takes that kart formula but amps it up. Sonic Racing has been able to do its own thing this whole time, which has been really awesome and really fun. And I didn't know what would be with Crossworlds. Is it just going to be more of the same? I think it's insane. It's like when people make these metaphors or descriptions of games on drugs, or just like tripping on LSD. Sonic Racing Crossworlds is insane. You almost think it might be too much for you, because they have the various levels of difficulty, which is the speed. Playing on the super fast one, it's insane. You could be in first place the whole time and at the last second get hit by something, go back. But because there's a loadout system, kind of like Call of Duty, you can have a specific loadout to allow you to counter or overcome some of what happens in the game. And there's so much you could do. They're called like gear plates, and you can add multiple perks on there. Some of them take up more room than others. It's very interesting, but you can have perks so in this game, rings help increase your top speed. You can use a perk where by bouncing into other players, you get the rings, but you also boost off of them. And when you hit walls, you don't lose rings. So the idea is you're constantly keeping up a top speed. Other ones are for drifting, where you can get to a level 4 drift, and that makes you invincible. So some tracks you might want to do that so you know you're invincible at certain times. What's another one? There's another one where when you do the level 3 dash or drift I was just talking about, it becomes a spin, so then you can spin into enemies. And then along with this, there's a rival system, so you can go through a different part of the game where you're playing against rivals. And I was doing that with my wife. It was allowing us to unlock a whole bunch of different vehicles. There's just so much going on with Sonic Racing Crossworlds that it could be number 1. I think everyone should be playing this. I will say the music is not as good as previous Sonic Racing games. Usually Sonic Racing music like stands out, and in this, it's like you can hear the tunes, but for some reason, it's not that interesting. So, yeah, that was my number 3 Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. Totally. Oh, and here's another thing. I got it on Xbox, which was great because then when I would be doing a live stream, I would just do the console streaming and just play it there or go back. So I like that. There was that. So heading on to number 2. Okay, kind of fitting because of the name of this, and it's Terminator 2D No Fate. So, you know, really when they announced it, I was like, oh, cool. Another kind of like old school 16-bit style action game, platformer with an IP from back in the day. You know, this is just, you know, it's fun. This is the type of thing I like to play. And it got delayed. I remember it was originally, I think, October, and then it got all the way to December. I remember being bummed because I was excited. But boy, once I got my hands on Terminator 2D No Fate, I didn't realize how amazing this is. For being just a 16-bit style 2D side-scrolling game, it has perfected the controls and the mechanics of it where it feels so good, and levels are different gameplay mechanics in general. Some are more like Contra, some are like a beat-em-up, some are just kind of traditional run and gun. It's a mix of things depending on themes from I think it's the first 2 movies and some added stuff, where it also reminds me of older games like Super Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, where it's things you recognize from the movies, but obviously it's made into a game. So there's like extra things to fight, more weapons to use. It might be a little longer. And that's what they did in Terminator 2D No Fate, to just extend that story, but recreate everything. The graphics, the pixel art's some of the best, and the animation is some of the best I've seen this year. The music helps elevate every level. It's just amazing how the music is in that. And then there's alternate endings, alternate paths you can take, things to collect. There's so much where I put 11 hours and 37 minutes into just a 2D side scroller. So that kind of tells me like how much I really enjoyed it. In fact, I even got all the achievements on Steam, or the trophies, you know, whatever they're called. Steam achievements. Yeah, I got them all on Steam. And in fact, I got this game on Steam, but if I saw it on sale on Xbox or PlayStation or even Switch, I would buy it and play through it again. So, all right, that was my number 2, Terminator 2D No Fate. Okay. My number 1 is such a shocking surprise that I'm just filled with joy and just still thinking about all this, because I never thought that I would ever bother with Xenoblade Chronicles, specifically Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition that came out on Switch 2 this year. So this is really a re-release of an older game, but it's more than just a re-release, and I think that's why you can count it for Game of the Year 2025, because they pretty much remade it. I learned a lot by playing Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. One is, the reason I never really jumped into it right away is because of it being a JRPG, or the perception of what a JRPG is. I remember not only this, but there was that Daemon X Machina that was on Switch, and I was like, oh, I'd want to play a mech game like that. And then I played it, and I was pretty underwhelmed, and the newer one seems a little cooler. But anyway, with Xenoblade Chronicles, it was another thing of that. It was like, well, this is a mecha game. I heard you don't get your mecha until about 20 hours in, and, you know, it's a JRPG. I'm probably not going to like it. Well, certain things would happen throughout the year. One, getting a Switch 2, I was like, well, I would like to play this on Switch 2. And then I came across a deal where it was like $40, and I went to order it, but then it got canceled. And I was like, when this was earlier in the year, I was like, wow, I'm going to be playing this. And then it just, again, you know, I moved on. And then near the end of the year here, I saw it again on sale for $40, picked it up, and I was surprised. Okay, so first of all, with this game, you don't even need to call it a JRPG. I just call this an open world game. Like, if any game is truly like, here's the most gamey I can make an open world, it is Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. As I'm playing it, I'm just thinking of Elden Ring. I'm thinking of Star Wars Outlaws, Assassin's Creed, a lot of Breath of the Wild. This game feels a lot like Breath of the Wild. Halo Infinite. It takes everything every open world game does and slaps it together, respecting your time. There are so many mechanics, but each one isn't necessarily, not that they're not deep, but they respect your time. For instance, there's probably more fast travel points in this game than all open world games combined. Is that true? I don't know. But if I need to get somewhere quick, I can get there quick. I don't have to worry. Now, there's some reasons why you would want to explore and run around, especially earlier in the game or when you're going out and exploring the world to put down survey points or whatever they call them. So, and that's the thing. Everything is dual purpose. When you're on your map screen, there's like 3 filters. One of them shows where every single point on the map, and there's so many, has these survey points that you can then use for resources, for mining, for research. So there's this like meta RTS element, not really RTS, but a meta strategy element of the world that you're playing in the background while you're looting. You're just going on missions, doing some quasi turn-based combat. You're still moving around. It's kind of cooldown based, I would say. Getting loot, getting weapons, outfitting your party, outfitting yourself, getting skills, getting arts. 20 hours in, you get the mecha. It changes the game. I get the mecha for my team. We go out and just start destroying things. There's just so much to this game, but I think probably the easiest way to kind of portray why I like it is because I think I really, really like open world games when they really respect your time. It's not in terms of like making you go back and forth, but anytime you're in the game, there's something going on. And Xenoblade Chronicles X does that perfectly. If I was to complain about anything, the story is interesting. Kind of don't care as much even as it goes, and sometimes story things happen that are just super like fantastical and outrageous, and I don't buy it, and it's just like, okay. I think that's one element, because when I play something like Elden Ring or Bloodborne, even though there's minimal story, there's enough of the atmosphere that kind of keeps me on edge. I don't feel on edge on Xenoblade at all. I think the most interesting story elements are just the character banter between things. Almost like you're watching Power Rangers and just this week you want to see your friends out, going out fighting and talking to each other. It's almost like the world doesn't matter. It's just the day-to-day with the characters you're with. So, and that could just be me personally. But anyway, so that's it. That's the top 5 games of the year of 2025. Let me know what you think of what yours are. But yeah, I'll have a follow-up video on some other games I've liked. But until next time, thanks for watching.